As cocaine's king, as Scarface's real Tony Montana, and probably the most infamous man in Colombia, he was a man not to be ignored. Pablo Escobar was one of Medellin's first billionaire drug lords in Colombia's notorious drug city. He would spend thousands of dollars on rubber bands alone to bind all the money in his stash. The official estimate says Pablo Escobar was worth $30 billion, but rumor has it he had almost $500 billion hidden away. That's why treasure hunters today strive to find it. So where is Pablo Escobar's $500 billion treasure? Before anything else, don't miss out on any video updates. Make sure to subscribe. Before I send you off to the deadliest treasure hunt you will ever have, let me give you an overview of Mr. Pablo Escobar. Who was Pablo Escobar? The legendary Colombian drug lord was born in Rio Negro in 1949 and had a drug cartel in Medellin by the 1970s. The infamous Medellin cartel, which dealt with burgeoning quantities of drugs, was led by him. It's thought that most of Escobar's profits were derived from transporting cocaine and other illegal drugs into the United States, while using both ground and air routes for transportation. It's estimated that the gang supplied 80% of the cocaine smuggled into the United States during its peak. In addition to the transportation network, underground tunnels were used to smuggle drugs since they could not be detected. To give you an idea of how extravagant these tunnels were, authorities recently discovered one of the largest tunnels in existence. This was believed to be a route used by another drug lord, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Located between Tijuana, Mexico and San Diego, California, the tunnel was 4,309 feet long. High-voltage electrical cables and drainage systems were also installed in the tunnel. Fame, fortune, and a notorious rise. A fast and bloody rise to fame and fortune made Pablo Escobar so famous. He became a global billionaire, according to Forbes, for 7 years because of his wealth. In his youth, Pablo Escobar worked for drug lords who recognized his efficiency, cruelty, and ability to eliminate anyone standing in his way. Well, a total of 4,000 killings, just to give you an idea. In the early 1970s, Escobar took the lead from slain Medellin drug lord Fabio Restrepo. Escobar accumulated a powerful gang of thugs by then and took over with little resistance. Escobar emerged as Colombia's most powerful person and the only billionaire drug lord of all time within a few years by 1976, after establishing the famed Medellin cartel. According to reports, Escobar was worth $30 billion. Today in 2021, this equates to $64 billion. Escobar smuggled more than 80 tons of cocaine into the US, making $420 million per week. His money was kept in various places and he went to extreme lengths to organize it. Despite his status as the United States' most wanted criminal and public enemy #1, he was king in Medellin, where he kept the locals happy and won their loyalty. The government recognized his church, school building, stadiums, and parks, and he was even seated in Colombia's Congress. Pablo Escobar's extravagant lifestyle. With 7,000 acres of land, his Spanish-style Hacienda Nápoles provided him with a safe haven. Escobar still had a ton of wealth despite living a lavish lifestyle of parties and buying up cars, yachts, and planes. He even gave his children real dinosaur fossils as gifts. People who worked with Escobar said that he would wrap his money in huge stacks and bury it with thousands of gold bars in plastic barrels or metal boxes. As a matter of fact, Escobar had a thing for organizing his cash and spent $4,000 each year just on rubber bands to store it. According to reports, Pablo Escobar hid gold and wads of money from his $500 billion drug fortune in secret locations, and then killed the men who hid them to keep the location a secret. Escobar literally kept his treasure well hidden. He never kept maps of his buried riches. He only kept this in his head. What a great retirement plan. He didn't think about the possibility of being arrested and imprisoned for life. Just imagine smashing a hole in your wall. A foul smell escapes, 100 times worse than something that had died. Inside you find a typewriter, a gold pen, satellite phones, and stacks of cash. Well, this happened to Nicolas Escobar, the nephew of Pablo Escobar. He discovered an unbelievable $18 million hidden behind a wall in his apartment, which was once owned by the late drug lord. Even though most of Pablo Escobar's monetary wealth and valuables were never found, Nicolas was fortunate to have discovered this. Compared to Escobar's actual wealth, Nicolas's $18 million discovery was just a drop in the bucket, as the drug lord had the habit of hiding his ill-gotten wealth in several places, including secret vaults hidden in the walls of one of his properties. Roberto Escobar, Pablo Escobar's brother, now 74, worked in Medellin as an accountant. He was jailed for 12 years for being part of his brother's operations. Pablo earned so much that 10% of the money had to be written off to rats eating it or the money getting damaged by water. The drug lord had a need to transport all the money he made. He even planned on building a fleet of submarines to smuggle the cash and powder, an idea he got from watching James Bond movies. As of today, his riches could have been buried underground or wherever. No one knows for certain, but treasure hunters are always on the lookout. Treasure hunters' delight. Keeping all of his money safe was Escobar's biggest problem. However, he was able to hide a significant portion of his fortune in Swiss banks, where unfortunately, the only one who had access to the account numbers was none other than him, which means the money was lost for good. Other treasure hunters and the CIA have been on a treasure hunt for the rest of the wealth. And speaking of CIAs, in search for Escobar's lost billions, CIA operatives Doug Locks and Ben Smith embarked on a dangerous mission. In their pursuit, the team traveled through some of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Colombia, where they encountered Escobar's worst assassins and gangsters. Every home he owns has a secret. According to rumors, Escobar had hidden his money in several of his homes across Colombia, Mexico, and Florida. The search for Escobar's treasure has triggered a modern-day El Dorado-style treasure hunt. Among one of the teams was Scotland's John Miller, who orchestrated the abduction of the famous train robber Ronnie Biggs in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1981. In 2009, Miller and SAS veterans searched for the hidden loot in Colombia. Several people connected to Escobar denied the loot even existed. However, one DEA agent, Steve Murphy, credited with discovering Escobar for the US government before his death on a Medellin roof, insists the treasure does exist. A well-known fact was that Escobar stashed away millions by wrapping up money and hiding it in caves, then killing the laborers hired to do the work. There is no way of determining the exact location of its $500 billion. It could be anywhere. 65-year-old Colombian farmer Jose Mariana Cartolos discovered $623 million buried in hundreds of barrels in a field where he was digging to start a palm olive plantation. Cartolos was granted land to develop a palm oil plantation as part of a government grant. He discovered cash-filled containers while digging in the soil. For a poor farmer like Cartolos, finding $623 million in a field is a shock. Despite reporting it to the authorities, he was not allowed to keep the money because it was suspected to be Pablo Escobar's hidden money. Money from the drug lord's billions went to charity. But the Colombian government feared that proof of the cash's existence had been found and other countries would start looking for the money as well. In 1989, another $35.6 million was discovered. And the following year, another $6 million in cash was found in 3 plastic cans that were dug up. $6.9 million was recovered from the jungle in 2009. Escobar had previously set up several cocaine processing factories here, so it's not hard to guess where the money came from. Ranch workers discovered $13 million buried in underground safes, built into Nápoles hacienda's marble flooring and unusual holes in the wall that were most likely used for storing money during excavation. Even though the Colombian government has recovered about $103 million, it's likely that 10 times more cash and riches are still hidden. Locks confirmed that evidence of the $500 billion has been found across Colombia in a film he made for the Discovery Channel. Gold bars, jewels, and even guns have been found in plastic barrels of cash. He felt that Escobar's discovered fortune was a fraction of Escobar's actual fortune, as he could not keep his money in banks or elsewhere. As an old-school drug lord of the 80s, he had no choice but to bury it. Great retirement plan, right? Are you interested in embarking on a treasure hunt to find Escobar's $500 billion? I wouldn't suggest it, as the search for Escobar's hidden treasure can be dangerous. In addition to being risky, hunting for Pablo Escobar's billions is not an easy endeavor. In fact, a location scout for the Netflix series Narcos was killed during the search for suitable locations in Mexico. His death was a warning from Escobar's brother that prompted the channel not to film in Mexico or Colombia without trained bodyguards. Well, that's all for today. Do you believe Escobar's ill-gotten wealth may still be hidden somewhere? Or is it just telltales passed down through the years? Comment below and let us know what you think. For more infotainment, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching the video and see you next time.